There are some feelings that never really disappear, even when years pass, even when people leave, even when life completely changes. Somewhere inside of us, there are moments that stay, moments we thought were ordinary when they happened, but somehow became memories we would do anything to experience again. It's strange how time works. When we're living through something, we rarely realize how important it is. A normal conversation with someone we love, a random day with friends, a night where nothing special happened. At the time, it just feels normal. Just another day, just another moment. But sometimes, those ordinary moments become the ones we miss the most, because we never know when something is happening for the last time. The last time you laugh with someone the same way. The last time you walk through a place that used to mean everything to you. The last time you talk to someone before they slowly become a stranger. Life doesn't usually tell us when a chapter is ending. There is no warning, no message telling us, enjoy this moment. It won't happen again. It just passes. And one day we look back and realize that something we had once felt so close to is now something we can only remember. And that's the strange thing about memories. They don't always disappear. Sometimes they just become quieter. A feeling that used to be a huge part of your life slowly becomes something hidden in the background. You stop thinking about it every day. You stop talking about it. You stop searching for it. But it never completely leaves. Then one random night, when everything is quiet, your mind brings it back. A song starts playing. A place reminds you of the past. A name appears on your screen. And suddenly, you feel something you haven't felt in years. Not because you want to go back, not because you are stuck there, but because, for a few seconds, you remember who you used to be. You remember the person you were before everything changed. Before you learned that some people leave. Before you realized some moments only happen once. Before you understood that growing up means losing things you never wanted to lose. And maybe that's the hardest part about life. It's not always losing the people or places we care about. Sometimes it's losing the version of ourselves that existed during those moments. The version of us that was happier. The version of us that was more innocent. The version of us that believed certain things would last forever. Because when we look back, we aren't only remembering what happened. We're remembering how it felt. And feelings are strange, because even when the mind tries to forget, the heart seems to remember. Maybe that's the part nobody talks about. The fact that forgetting someone doesn't mean they stopped mattering. Sometimes we think that if we truly cared about something, we would remember every detail forever. The exact sound of their voice, the exact words they said, the exact feeling of being around them. But that's not how the mind works. The mind is strange. It keeps things we don't want to remember and slowly lets go of things we wish we could keep forever. And maybe there's a reason for that. Because imagine if you remembered everything. Every goodbye, every mistake, every person who left, every moment you wished you could go back to. You would be carrying your entire life with you every single day. Maybe forgetting isn't the mind being cruel. Maybe it's the mind trying to protect us, slowly taking away the sharp edges of memories until they become something we can hold without breaking. But even then, some things stay. Some feelings refuse to disappear completely. You might forget the exact conversation you had with someone years ago. You might forget what you were wearing. You might even forget the date it happened. But you remember how it felt. And that's what makes feelings so powerful. They don't always need details to survive. A single song can bring back an entire year of your life. A familiar place can make you feel like a younger version of yourself again. A random thought before falling asleep can remind you of someone you haven't spoken to in forever. And for a moment, it feels like no time has passed. Like you're standing in the same place, feeling the same emotions, looking at the same person. But then reality comes back, and you remember that moment is gone. That person has changed. You have changed. Everything around you has moved forward. And maybe that's the hardest thing to accept. Not that things end, but that they continue without us. The world keeps moving. People grow. People change. People become different versions of themselves. The person you remember from years ago might not even be the same person today. And maybe you're not the same person either. Because every experience changes us. Every goodbye leaves something behind. Every person we meet becomes a small part of who we become, even the people who aren't in our lives anymore, especially them, because sometimes the people who leave teach us the most. They show us what we value. They show us what we miss. They show us parts of ourselves that we didn't know existed. And even though we can't go back, even though we can't recreate those moments, we can still appreciate that they happened, because not everything needs to last forever to be meaningful. Some things are beautiful because they were temporary. Some people are important because they changed us. And some feelings stay with us because they were never meant to be forgotten. I remember thinking about this one day, how strange it is that some of the moments we miss the most were moments we didn't even realize were important. There was a time when I used to do the same things almost every day. Nothing special. Just normal routines. Talking with people I saw all the time, laughing about things that don't even seem funny anymore, spending hours doing things that felt like they would always be there. And back then I never stopped to think about it. I never thought, one day I'm going to miss this. Because when you're inside a moment, you don't think about losing it, you just live it. But then time passes, things slowly change. People get busy, everyone starts walking in different directions. And one day you look back and realize something that once felt permanent was actually temporary. And I think a lot of people experience this without talking about it. Not because something terrible happened, not because there was some huge ending. Sometimes things just fade. A friend you used to talk to every day becomes someone you only see occasionally. A place you used to spend so much time in becomes somewhere you barely visit. A version of yourself that felt normal slowly becomes someone you barely recognize. And that's a weird feeling, because you aren't exactly sad, but you aren't completely okay either. It's almost like missing a home that doesn't exist anymore, a place that only exists in your memories. And maybe that's why certain feelings stay with us, because they aren't only attached to what happened, they're attached to who we were when it happened. The younger version of ourselves, the version that didn't know what was coming, the version that thought certain people would always be there, the version that believed some moments could last forever. But life has a strange way of moving forward. Even when a part of you wants to stay somewhere in the past, time keeps going. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we aren't supposed to hold on to every moment forever. Maybe some memories are meant to become memories, not because they weren't important, but because they were. Because if something can still make you smile years later, if something can still make you feel something after it's gone, then it meant something. And that's something nobody can take away from you. Not time, not distance, not change. Some things end, but the impact they leave behind can stay with us forever. There are some people we meet in life, and we never realize how much they will mean to us. At the time, they are just a normal part of our day. Someone we talk to, someone we laugh with, someone who makes ordinary moments feel better. We don't think about the fact that one day those conversations might stop, that one day we might know everything about someone, and then slowly know nothing at all. It's one of the strangest parts of growing up. Someone can go from being a huge part of your life to someone you only remember when something reminds you of them. Maybe it's an old picture. Maybe it's a place you used to go together. Maybe it's a random moment where you think, I wonder how they are doing now. And for a second, you feel that old connection again, but then you remember. Life moved on. They changed. You changed. And the two people who once shared those memories don't exist in the same way anymore. But I think that's something we don't talk about enough. Just because someone isn't in your life anymore doesn't mean they didn't matter. Some people are only meant to be a chapter, not the whole story. They come into your life, change something inside you, and then eventually leave. And sometimes we spend so much time wishing they would come back that we forget to appreciate what they gave us while they were here. Maybe they taught us how to care about someone. Maybe they showed us a different side of life. Maybe they helped us become a better version of ourselves. Even if they aren't around anymore, a part of them remains in who we became. Because every person we meet leaves something behind. A lesson, a memory, a feeling, a different way of seeing the world. And maybe that's why saying goodbye is so difficult, because you're not just saying goodbye to a person, you're saying goodbye to a version of life that existed when they were there, a version of yourself that only existed in that time. And that's something we all have to accept eventually, that some things can be meaningful and still be temporary. And maybe that's something we all struggle with, accepting that some things are only meant to exist for a certain amount of time. Because as humans, we naturally want to hold on to things. We want to keep the people who make us happy. We want to stay in the moments where life feels right. We want to freeze the parts of our lives where everything feels complete. But time doesn't work like that. Time keeps moving. Even when we aren't ready, even when we wish we had more time. And maybe that's why looking back can feel so strange. Because when we remember the past, we don't just remember what happened. We remember how we felt. We remember the little things that seemed meaningless back then, the conversations that lasted for hours, the random jokes that only made sense to a few people. The places we visited without realizing we were creating memories, the ordinary days that we never thought we would miss. It's funny how that works. When we are living those moments, we are always waiting for something better. We think, one day, things will finally feel right. One day, I'll be happier. One day, I'll have everything figured out. But then years pass, and sometimes we look back and realize we were already living a moment we would later miss. The happiness we were searching for was already there. We just didn't notice it because we were too busy thinking about the future. And maybe that's one of the saddest things about growing up. You spend so much time trying to become someone else that you forget to appreciate who you are right now. Because this version of you, the one watching this video, the one living through whatever life looks like right now, will also become a memory one day. There will be a future version of you who looks back at this exact moment. Maybe you will remember the things you were worried about, the things you thought were impossible, the people you were trying to understand, the dreams you were chasing. And maybe you will realize you were also just a person trying to figure everything out, just like everyone else. And I think that's something we forget. Everyone is constantly becoming someone new. The person you were 5 years ago is gone. The person you will be 5 years from now doesn't exist yet. The only version of yourself you truly have is the one living right now. So maybe instead of always trying to escape the present, maybe we should appreciate it a little more. Maybe we should pay attention to the small moments, the conversations, the laughs, the quiet nights where nothing special happens, because those are usually the moments that become the memories we miss. Not the perfect moments, not the moments where everything went exactly as planned. Just the simple ones, the ones where we felt alive without even realizing it. And maybe that's the secret about feelings that last forever. They don't stay because we refuse to move on. They stay because they were connected to something real. A person, a place, a moment, a version of ourselves that once existed. And even though we can't return to those times, we can still be grateful that they happened. But maybe the hardest lesson we learn is that not everything is meant to be kept. Some things are meant to be experienced. Some people are meant to be loved. Some moments are meant to be remembered. And then they are meant to become part of our story. For a long time, we might think moving on means forgetting, like healing means waking up one day and no longer caring, like letting go means that something no longer matters. But maybe that's not true. Maybe moving on doesn't mean forgetting. Maybe it means being able to remember something without needing it to come back. Maybe it means looking at an old memory and instead of only feeling sadness, you can also feel grateful. Grateful that you experienced it. Grateful that you met those people. Grateful that you had a moment in your life that was important enough to miss. Because think about it, would you rather have never experienced something beautiful or experienced something beautiful that eventually ended? The ending hurts, the goodbye hurts, the fact that you can't go back hurts, but the fact that it happened, that is something special. There are people in this world who have moments they would do anything to experience again, not because their current life is bad, not because they hate where they are now, but because those moments were a part of them. They help create who they are today. And maybe that's what memories really are. They're not just reminders of the past, they're proof. Proof that we cared about something, proof that we loved something, proof that there were moments where we felt completely alive. And even though time takes things away, it can't take away the fact that they happened. The laughter was real, the friendships were real, the feelings were real, the person you were back then was real. And maybe that version of yourself deserves some kindness. Because we often look back at our past selves and judge them. We think about mistakes we made, things we should have done differently, things we wish we understood sooner. But that person was just trying their best. They didn't know everything you know now. They didn't have the experiences you have today. They were just living life, one moment at a time, just like you are now. So maybe instead of looking back and wishing you could return, maybe you can simply appreciate that version of yourself. Thank them, because they got you here. Every version of you, the happy one, the confused one, the one who was hurting, the one who was learning, they all played a part in becoming who you are today. And maybe that's why some feelings last forever. Not because we are trapped in the past, but because the past is a part of us. It shaped us. It changed us. It left something behind. And even when the mind slowly lets go, even when memories become blurry, somewhere deep inside, we still carry the feeling, quietly, softly, forever.